everybody, Fred the Pirate here, and I'm here to do a review of Attack on Titan episode 16. Alright, so pretty much what happens in this week's episode, not a lot really happened, although we did have a couple cool moments. So essentially, what happens is we start out with the military police, I'm assuming, trying to investigate who killed the two Titans last episode. And they were checking out people's maneuvering gear to see if they had used it without being authorized, because apparently the way the maneuvering gear works, like you can tell how many times like somebody's pulled off their blade, and so it's kind of easy to check how often it's been used, and so they kind of cross-referenced people's gear with how many with the amount of times it's been used versus how many times they claim to have used it. So from what it seems like that everybody checked out, so they're still kind of working on that. So we're not really any further into figuring out who tried to kill the two Titans yesterday, but it did kind of bring some interesting conversation among the characters where they understood like why the person who did it. At least, like, I think they're kind of going on the assumption that whoever did it must really hate Titans. But honestly, I'm kind of going more with like a conspiracy theory vibe, which is I think whoever did it like was probably not necessarily that they hated Titans, but just necessarily I think somebody like was honestly, I think somebody in power, had somebody else kill the Titans, one of the soldiers. And I think like that's probably why they didn't, find out who did it, because, they're not going to find out who did it because like it's like a conspiracy theory thing. Because I know throughout this episode, I think this series has been really good at pointing out that a lot of times, things aren't quite what they seem, and there's a lot more going on with stuff than what it seemed like. And so I'm kind of going with the theory that whoever killed the Titans was probably ordered to by somebody in a high up position. So with that said, we have the section where the cadets decide to choose which branch they're going to go into. And most of the characters we're familiar with ended up choosing to go into the Survey Corps because, they had had experiences with the Titans. And even though a lot of them were scared, and even though a lot of them were sad, especially about the loss of their comrade Marco, that I think a lot of them realized the importance of being in the Survey Corps, because they knew that there was no way that they could experience what they had experienced in the Battle of Torst and not do something about the Titans. Obviously with the clear exception of Annie. Like, Annie decided to join the military police, and she told Armin and pretty much her friends, it's like, it's like, she says, I just want to survive. Like, I'm not interested in being a hero. And like, I know the Titans are bad, and it's not like I really super like the military police. It's just I don't want to die. So, and I mean, and that's pretty fair. I mean, hopefully we'll continue to see her because she is a pretty interesting character. And hopefully if we see her, like, she'll be a good window for us to see, how the upper echelon of their society works. So hopefully, that's how they're going to use her. I was kind of hoping that with the series that kind of more of the characters would kind of go into different branches, and so that way we could have used the different characters to kind of figure out more about how how all their societies work. So that way we're not just kind of just stuck focusing on like Survey Corps, even though like I'm sure that they're going to be super interesting. I would have kind of liked to see how other stuff works, and I think using other characters as a vehicle would have been kind of cool for that. But I think so far, obviously, like I said, most of the characters that we're familiar with end up joining the Survey Corps. So obviously we're going to spend a lot of time with them, and so we follow them in this episode as they kind of get acclimated to that, which is they start their training where they explain what the battle plan is, which essentially in about a month's time they're going to go behind back behind Wall Rose so they can get into the area between Wall Rose and Wall Maria. Um, and at the end of the episode, actually, before that, they end up getting their cloaks, which, like, that was a really cool moment. And it was also really cool this episode seeing them, like, the process for joining the Survey Corps is that, essentially, if you want to join the Survey Corps, like, you stand in front of Commander Irwin, and if you don't, you just, you're free to go. And so that was a really cool moment because, like, they had like this blue lighting going on with the characters, like, and you could hear their inner dialogues and stuff, and it was really cool. And like the moment where they all get their green cloaks with the wings of freedom on the back, like that was really really awesome. Um, and also at the end of this episode, they get to uh, meet up with Aaron again, and he's really happy to see them. And so initially he kind of assumes, because he doesn't see Jean, Annie, or Marco, and he doesn't know about Marco yet, that he assumes that they didn't join because he doesn't see them there. But Jean ends up coming up behind him, and he ends up telling him that Marco died, and that obviously he joined. And so obviously this is really hard for Aaron. And I think there was also a really interesting scene where Jean kind of confronts Aaron about him trying to him attacking Mikasa when he was in a Titan form, and he was like, and he told Aaron, it's like, I want you to be honest about like the shit you're aware of and the shit you're not aware of, because the thing is, it's like, I'm gonna be risking my life for you, and so is everybody else here, and it's like, you better make it worthwhile. And so Jean pretty much said, you better not fuck this up, because it's like, I'm putting my ass on the line here for you. And I think he mentions, like, we're not all like Mikasa, like, we're not all okay with, like, potentially dying for you and not getting anything out of it. So, that was definitely a cool moment. Overall, like, a really cool episode. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a more slower paced episode, but it looks like next week's episode, it looks like we're going to get a lot of stuff happening, because apparently they're going to get attacked by a Titan, according to the preview. That is a smart Titan, so I don't know how a smart Titan would work. At first I thought they were gonna, based on the preview, that they were gonna get attacked by the Colossal Titan, because when they showed the Titan, they didn't have skin, and you could see like their muscles and ligamenture. So I thought it was a Colossal Titan, but it turns out, I guess that it's a regular sized Titan that doesn't have skin but is smart. So I'm kind of wondering how that's gonna work out. I'm kind of curious, like, if a Titan was smart, then why would they attack humans? Like, I get why the stupid ones attack humans, because, like, they're stupid, but, like, I'm not really sure why a smart one would do that, so I'm kind of interested. I mean, I guess maybe this Titan is smarter than other Titans, but maybe not like human level intelligence. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But otherwise, a really great episode this week. Definitely looking forward to next week's episode. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this week's episode, so make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.